All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another Expert Exchange. I have a billion-dollar man with us today, Richard Denzer. He's done billions of dollars of projects. He's done some big ones, some small ones, and a lot of variety. He's someone that can make things happen. I have seen him control a room after the previous speaker just destroyed it and everybody's upset. He's a master of communication and a master of accomplishment and attitude and manners. And so, Richard, tell us a little bit about yourself, your history, and I know there's some things we can have a few chuckles about tonight.
Cool. Well, first off, I just want to say thanks for having me. I appreciate it. But next thing I got to ask, is this going to be like a PG-13 thing, or is this going to be like a rated R thing? Which one is it?
This goes out in the general public. Anybody can watch it, so I'd prefer PG-13.
Prefer. So that's not mandatory. Is that correct? So, maybe.
I also know better than don't try to control Richard.
Cool. Well, hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. But in my background, I'm a real estate guy, so I'm an architect and a developer, and so I've been involved in large-scale projects my entire career. And like I said, small ones. I've worked down in Laguna Beach for many, many years. Worked with Morris Skandarian and Gary Whitfield. And, did cliffside houses when I was a youngster and stuff like that. It was really fun. And like you and I, Greg, did a couple recently, so that was really fun. Those were really proud of those. Those set records for the sale price, so that was really wonderful. Yeah, all those projects are really cool. We got performing arts centers, office buildings, golf communities, huge resorts, all that sort of stuff all around the world. So we've done a lot.
Yeah. Now, you also were associated with UCI, weren't you? Didn't you have a project there?
That was my first large master planning project when I worked for William Pereira when I was 18. So I got a lucky break. I made friends with the office manager, and she made good on her promise, got me in the design department, and there I sat, and I drew for the head designer there, and one of the first projects there I did was the new master plan for UCI. And with a picture of William Pereira behind me, he was in the cover of Time magazine in 1963. So pretty cool. That was fun. I'm proud of that.
Yeah. You've worked to some very high levels. So let's jump from, we've gone over a little of the history. What about today? What are you doing today? What are the markets looking like? What's the most interesting project you have today?
Well, I think the most interesting project right now is the electric vehicle side. I think that's really pretty phenomenal. I mean, I think you've got a huge transition that's taking on in the electric vehicle market. Trucks, planes. You have two big companies that are trying to put together electric planes, 80-person planes. The electric planes already here. Electric drones already here. Electric semi-trucks here with Tesla. Amazon just ordered 100,000 Rivian vans, right? Okay.
Yeah.
They have a huge, they're going to go totally off grid by 2040. So it's here, it's coming, it's a big deal. So the cars are here, Porsche's coming, Audi's coming. There's a slew of, all the car companies are going electric, and it's going more than that. It's even going to go full autonomous. And so, like for example, today, 70% of the cars are leased. So the next step is, we're not going to lease, we're not going to own, we're going to rent. So they're going to roll off in an autonomous car, drop us off, pick us up. You and I can go to tacos like we do. And off we go, dropped off, get picked up by a different car, and off we go. Or two different cars. You go your direction, I go my direction. It's going to be a totally different deal. And then how do you accommodate that? It's going to be very interesting. I mean, Tesla has, a friend of mine ordered 3 Tesla trucks, semis. I mean, it's here. They're already in place. They have a 500-mile range. So that's an enormous piece that's affecting our world.
Yeah.
Now you've got housing. Now you've got parking lots that are being affected because you don't own a car. Now you need to park it, right? That's going to change a whole bunch of stuff. So that's really interesting.
So you said you're a real estate guy, but why are you in electric vehicles?
Well, it's a real estate deal, right?
Really?
So it's a real estate deal. So, well, if you've got a parking lot, let's just use the Irvine company. They got a lot of parking lots, Yep. They're going to put electric vehicles in there, and the code requires all new project to have 6% of the spaces to be EV charged, right? So you can go ahead and charge your car. But it's going to be higher than that. It'll be, even the Great Park has some of the lots, they have 10% of their spaces. There's 3,157 spaces being not allocated. They are there at the Great Park in Irvine. So it's a total real estate game. And that one is one where the landowner can make money. right? They can joint venture with a company that, you know, we're putting together a joint venture for that to do that. And that way they can make money on the charge, on the advertising, on the microgrid chargeback, all these avenues.
Right. It's kind of like cell towers and 5G. They rent space on the tops of buildings to have access, and so you do the same thing with your electrical vehicle charging.
Exactly. So exactly. And plus, they're not in the business. They don't want to develop it. They don't want to put it in. They don't want to do the permitting and just send me a check, right? Come on, right? They're just as lazy as we are. So go ahead and do that. And it's coming on. It's ridiculously fast, and you just don't know about it because you just wouldn't be privy to it. You'd have to really look to find it, but it's really cool. There's that one. And then this latest pandemic with the COVID thing, and I really don't like talking about the COVID thing, but it's really put on the onus of how it's going to change how we work at home, right? I mean, you have a home office, I have a home office, you know, Tony and I work out of the same house, you know, that's my wife. And, you know, the thing is, it's really, really cool. But and it's working, right? It's working to a degree, but it's going to change how the residential market's going to take place. You're going to include in every house that you do, not just the high-end homes that we've done, you know, $5, $6, $7 million house. We're talking about a $300,000 house is going to have a place to do work. Maybe multiple places to do work. You know, got the kid, got the wife, got the husband. They all got to have a place to go do their business. Excuse me. And this isn't really new. I'd say 20 years ago, Southern California Edison, they started eliminating their dedicated offices in their office buildings. So they've been doing this for years, long time. This is not new, but this is really forcing it into a public place where it's really out in the public and it's there. So that's going to change this too. It's been a good. I think it's in a really, really good way. So it's not going to put as much pressure on the mixed use projects and force the density, which could be really bad. That could be really
now, you talked about the residential market changing. What's the market look like?
Well, the good news is during this pandemic, it's been looking pretty good. I mean, things are good. You know, my phone's ringing, you know, I mean, I don't have to do any staring at the phone or anything. It just rings all by itself. I'm pretty happy about that. And the thing is, I'm seeing projects. I just got a call the other day for a resort in Costa Rica that I thought would be for sure dead. He's like, I'm ready to go. I want to go now.
That one resurrected? Yeah,
got resurrected. It's totally cool, right? So like I'm all over that. And so, but people are moving forward, and they're not. And here's the reasons why: interest rates are rock low, bottom of the lake low. They're not going to get any lower. They're going to stay that way. The government's not going to allow them to raise up. They learn their lesson from that. We have a very low inventory in the residential market. We don't have a lot of housing out there, so it's going to continue. And of course, as you know, it takes a long time to build it up. And people are more hesitant now. They're more careful on how they do things. They might even have their product sold before they actually buy a lot or buy a residence and remodel and flip it, right? Got a call the other day from a couple of guys and you know, another really large residence, and they're going to buy it, but they're going to have the buyer. They're going to buy it. We're going to remodel, design it, remodel it, and sell it to this particular guy before we even purchase the property. You'll see more of that happening. And I think that's a great model. Why not, right? Why wait around? Yeah. You know, I mean, why sit there and, oh my God, who's going to buy it? No, Bob's going to buy it, but it's Bob's house, right? I mean, done. Make your profit, bake it in, call it a day. Bob doesn't care. Bob just wants the damn house, right? It's like Bob's a gazillionaire, right? So, but I think you're going to see a lot of that going on. And we talked about this a lot in our discussions about marketing. That people are going to market real estate a lot wiser than they ever did before. And they're going to go ahead and have a list. They're going to understand the power of the list. They're going to be able to go ahead and sell this stuff before they build it. And all the risk will be gone. And as it should be. Why does it have to be build it and they'll come attitude? That's, yeah. So, yeah,
you've talked about the value of the list and targeting. And you're actually a very good copywriter as well. You've developed that skill over the years.
Oh, thanks for saying that. I appreciate that. I really love doing it. And I think I still got to get Jasmine, our tech today, to come in and I got to win her over, but I'll get there with her. So, but you know, she's not quite so convinced, but I learned that skill in 2008 when the crash came and I had nothing to do. So I took a class on copywriting and I really got into it. I've always loved writing. So it's a huge skill. I recommend it for anybody that goes into business. If you learn how to write copy, I mean, really good ad copy and a sales letter, your life will be much, much better because you'll understand the sales process a lot better. I just got off the phone actually with a guy. I won't mention the name of the company. They're raising capital left and right for a modular offering, right? They're doing a great job. They have 8,000 leads a month, but they only can take 5 phone calls a day. Burning a little cash on their lead gen there, right? I mean, come on, that's just ridiculous. I mean, but good for them. They're doing well in their capital raise. So
I hope they've got a good sales funnel to get down to those top 5.
I think they could use Jasmine there to help out a little bit. Like, I think we need to get you a little bit of a sales force here on full commission to make it happen. Yeah. So
yeah,
that's a big deal for all of us. It doesn't matter what profession you're in. If you're in real estate, if you're in real estate finance, if you're in selling, ball valves for God knows whatever the hell that is, you need to get good at writing sales copy and presentation and learning how to do that well. Otherwise, it's just going to be a nightmare for you. It's going to be an uphill battle, and you're going to, why doesn't everybody love me? It's like, well, you're really not that lovable because you don't write very well. You don't communicate very well, right?
Yeah, now, that brings up when I mentioned at the beginning how you know how to step into a room and control it or manage it. It's because you step in prepared. Tell us a little bit about what are the basic skills that are lacking in most people today that fail, and against those who are successful in getting something accomplished.
Well, it's really simple. When you're prepared, you got the game beat, right? It's just that simple. I mean, and it's really here's the big deal. Most people they're not really aware of what their audience wants, right? So let's just kind of start at the beginning. So you're walking in a room, you're making a presentation, right? So your audience is obviously uninformed, right?
Right.
We forget that Junior's sitting there, came all the way down, or you came to him, and he finally I'm going to learn what I want to learn here from this guy. Well, he wants to learn what he's going to learn, right? But he wants to learn what he wants to learn, not what you want to tell him, what he needs to know. Let's say he's a money guy, right? Let's say he's a board of superintendent of a school district. He needs to know about numbers, right? Because he's running the money, right? That's what a superintendent does.
Yes.
Right? How much is it going to cost? When am I going to have it? How am I going to get kids in there? Where is it? All those questions he might have. All it matters is for him. So every audience is different. And that's where people get a little off track. They don't care about how or the other stuff, or even in my case, like the architecture. All it matters is how it affects them. Like for example, we just got done doing a 2,000-acre facility, a master plan up in Northern California, right? And it's for the properties owned by the city, and they wanted us to come in and develop it, right? So what did they want?
The airport, right?
Yeah, it's the airport project. Big mixed-use project, $10 billion deal. We got done. We master planned 31.5 million square feet in there. Well, all the city cares about, I mean, no offense to the city, I don't want to make a real base here, but their biggest concern is revenue, 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 revenue. I mean, how'd you like to be mayor of a city and you're going to go broke? You can't pay your police department. You can't pay your fire department. I mean, it's pretty scary, right? And that's on their mind. They're worried about paying the bills. So they see this as a way to solve their future, not only today, but tomorrow, right? How do we solve that problem for them revenue-wise? And we did that. And that's why we won. That's why we were successful. And they were, you're the guy, we want you to do it. Because we solved their problem, which is revenue. How we did it wasn't was part of their what, right? So as we showed them how we did it, that was a big deal, but that wasn't the big deal. The big deal was, this is generating us revenue. We never have a loss of revenue, and our revenue increases every year that you're here. Yes.
And you've coached me on these types of presentations. So when it's the 5 topics are revenue, then every point you make ends up, well, the result is, the answer is revenue.
Right.
And so how do you coach people? I've tried to introduce you to some companies that would be greatly benefiting from your coaching in how to communicate and accomplish things. Tell us a little bit about your skill set there. You are also a coach.
Yeah, well, to people, the one thing with presentation training is, first off, you have to understand you need it and you want it and you can benefit from it, right? So as you know, we've raised capital together. You got to make a good presentation to get somebody to give you dough, right? Pretty simple.
Right.
You want to make more sales. You want to convert more stuff in your business. You want to hire better employees. You got to be better at presenting. It's really, really simple. But a lot of guys, they're not so sure they want to be better at that, and that's hard for them. But when the guys do want to do it, it's pretty simple to do it. So I have a 6-step method that I use to prepare for meetings. It has nothing to do with content creation or technique. How you speak, or how you all those, where you put your hands and all that sort of stuff. That's really important. And the 6 steps are really simple. It's like, you got a goal, right? How do you determine your goal? It's got to be simple, got to be easy. Don't get carried away and get the attack of the clevers, one thing at a time, right? We've gone over that, right? And so, and the next thing is who's your audience, right? It's just key. People really pay attention to who your audience is, right? Is it Henry Segerstrom, or is it the person that's running the food service for the school, right? Whatever it might be, right? So 2 different totally people, how are you going to present to them? And then, of course, you've got, your location, where you're presenting. The room's a big deal. I mean, what kind of room? Is it a glass bubble? Is it a huge conference table? Or is it the back of a tailgate of a truck? I mean, how many times have I done that in the golf business? I mean, I met Jack Nicklaus for the first time, out in the middle of the fairway 5. So, hey, Richard, how you doing? It's like, Mr. Nicklaus, it's pretty good. Thank you. Good to be here. So I was prepared, though, and he was impressed because I brought 2 rocks to keep the paper down, right? So that was my big deal. So,
that is very important.
That was almost as good as some of the other things I've done, but that was a big deal. He never forgot it. And so there's stuff like that. And then the next thing is your materials. The material part, I think, is architects have a real big advantage because they have drawings, right? So but everyone can benefit from drawings. Your business can benefit from drawings. I don't care if it's real estate, electronics, whatever it is, you can show pictures, right? You need a vision. You need to see stuff. It's got to be readable and they're readable. So the thing is that you have 11 by 17 packages. You have large format things you can pin up on a wall or lay on a table. I even had one guy laminate a gigantic master plan we did of a project in Mexico. That way the client could take a Sharpie and write on it, which he thought was the greatest thing ever, right? Of course, got buy-in, right? And what's the whole purpose here? And a PowerPoint presentation is a good thing too, because it's one more tool. But individually, these things are okay, but all 3, they're amazing because you're now immersed the audience in the material. They're totally immersed in it. And of course, that provides engagement. And that's what you're looking for. Full engagement. Now they're going to understand. And then once they understand, they're going to buy in because they understand. I mean, if they didn't buy in and they fully understand, you really missed your solution there by quite a bit, right?
Right, and you've talked about you have to be engaging, deliver what they want, but also not be repulsive is something I've heard from you. That
a lot of people. Yeah, there's a lot of times people, what they do is they make, a lot of people will make people work to work with them, right? It's like it needs to be simple and easy and clear cut. Simple words, simple things, so I can consume it and get it. People will dislike you immediately if you make it complicated to understand because they feel stupid. And I don't know anybody that likes to feel stupid. I mean, that's kind of a universal thing, right? I mean, you can ask Jasmine, but I'm pretty sure that's a universal thing. So, but I think that's one. And the other thing is arriving and departing. How many times guys show up late? I mean, that's just classic. They show up late. They're not prepared. They don't have their things. They're stumbling in there. They got this drippy Starbucks cup and the water's all over the place and they're not dressed well. They don't look like they're ready for business. That's a big one. And then the other thing too is people need to relax. Be yourself, be ready, tell your story, ask them if they have any other questions they'd like to proceed and move on. I just think people need to be a lot more focused, a lot more clear and at ease. They're not going to bite you. They're not going to eat you. And they're just like you and me. They're like tacos, and they just want to know what you got. Remember, they're uninformed, right? They're uninformed, so they want to be informed. So inform them, and be kind about it. Be loving. Be empathetic to them in their desire and want to be informed. And because they're there because you're going to solve a problem for them. You're not there because they don't have a problem. The only reason you're there is they have a problem.
And you're going to be the solution.
and they're praying you're the solution. So be there. Not that hard to do, right? I mean, I just don't think it's that difficult of a thing to do, but people make it difficult. And I know I've been doing it a long time, and I had a trainer from Dad that was pretty incredible, so it was an easy thing for me to do. But at the same time, I just think it's if you do a good job of preparing and thinking about your audience, them, you're going to do really well.
Yeah, now you mentioned your dad. That reminds me that you had an upbringing and an opportunity that few people have. You really had a good, strong head start with your family. Tell us about where you're growing up a little bit and your family and how they trained you.
Well, the fun thing is I grew up. Here's the thing I love to say is I grew up really privileged, and I tell you why, because I had two great parents, and they're both farmers. Mom from the South, and Dad from Minnesota, from the North, right? So Dad leaves Minnesota in 1936 at 18 years of age, drives out to LA, right, and lands a job with Douglas Aircraft, right? Mom is 5 years younger than my dad. She came out on a bus from Memphis, Tennessee, alone. So that tells you she was trying to get. I'm not digging Memphis all that much. I'm leaving, right? All the way out to LA by herself. And my mom was a beautiful woman. And so, they got together, met, and did very, very well. But Dad started Douglas Aircraft for 49 cents an hour, the graveyard shift, and became president. So, and how he became president is that, he moved up into sales, and then they shipped him over to Japan after World War II, which he was in. So I think I'm pretty sure it was 56. He was in Tokyo, and pioneered the entire Far East airline industry. And so I was all part of that. That's one of the reasons why I lived in Tokyo. With our whole family moved over there, as he became president there, and then came back. And that was really a phenomenal thing. And so, obviously I'm in, unbelievable dealings there with everybody and their brother from around the world in that portion of the world. Prime ministers, ambassadors, CEOs. I mean, everybody. It was incredible, ridiculous. Newsweek, Time Magazine, you name it, they were all there.
Not too many people can say they played golf with the Prime Minister of Japan when they were a teenager. I was 10 when it happened. That was pretty fun. Okay, so before you were a teenager.
Before I was a teenager. Yeah, I've been playing golf since I was 5. So that was a big thing for Dad, for me to learn how to play golf, and I did, and I got pretty good at it. But when we were playing in Japan, so it's a great story. If you want me to tell, I'd be more than happy to tell it.
I would love to hear that.
That's a cool one. So we're at the place to get your hair cut in Japan is the Okura Hotel, which is a really, really high-end hotel. So there's 2 hotels at the time there that were really high. One was the Tokyo Hilton, and then also the Okura Hotel. So we got our hair cut at the Okura Hotel. And so Saturday morning we're in there in this standard little white tiled room, right? We're in there, 8 or 9 chairs in there, and Dad and I are in there seated and getting our hair cut. And in comes walking in Prime Minister Sato, kind of a short, stocky, a really large, Japanese man, actually. For a Japanese guy, walks in, has this really heavy, Chicago weight suit on, walks in with these gigantic, leather loafers on, clips us all the way down to the empty chair at the end of the barber shop, gets in and sits down. The place went dead quiet, right? And I'd met him before because of my dad, and so I knew him. And so Dad leans over and says to the chair, he goes, "Well, you got to go down there and go say hi to him." And I'm going, no. Because the place went dead silent. I'm not going down. I'm scared to death. You got all quiet. All the guys, all the barbers in there, they went dead silent. No one's talking. And I go, oh shit, I got to go down there. So I go down there. So I walk down there. And I said, hello, Prime Minister Sato. Good morning. How are you? And he goes, I'm fine, Richard. How are you? His English wasn't very good. My Japanese was okay. So we bumbled through it. And he goes, well, how are things? He goes, they're good. He goes, actually, they're pretty good. He goes, well. He goes, well, how's school? And I go, school's fine. He goes, you doing your homework? And I go, yeah, I'm doing my homework. And I said, so I said to him, and he goes, well, how's your golf game? And I go, my golf game is okay. We're going to play next week. I go, how's your golf game? He goes, I haven't played much. And I said, well, if you want to, you can join us next Saturday if you want to play golf. And he looks down at my dad and leans down. He goes, I'm in. So there you go. There it is. The first round with Prime Minister Sato, right? And Dad leans down at Prime Minister Sato. He goes, hey, the kid's my partner. We'll get you the 4th. And he goes, Richard, my dad, he goes, who should we make as a 4th? And I go, how about Maz? And Maz was the president of Japan Airlines. So it was Prime Minister Sato, the president of Japan Airlines, my dad, the president of Douglas Aircraft, and myself, right? And I set it all up. It was pretty cool. At a most ridiculously, high-end golf club you'd ever imagine. It was actually ridiculous amount of money when it was in the 80s. But anyway,
tremendous learning lessons right there.
Yeah, that wasn't the only time we played golf. He actually called me up to set a game one time. His office called up, got me on the phone, said, I want you to set up another game. I said, oh, okay, yes, sir, will do. It's like,
and that's one of the things that you've taught me is that, you can do anything just about once, but when people want to do something against because you were, courteous, polite, and tell us a little bit about how you get invited back. That's a skill that a lot of people overlook.
Yeah, that is the key. Like my dad always used to say, it's not about getting invited, son. It's about getting invited back, right? And if you think about it, a foursome is a very small group, right? So let's think about this foursome. My dad and I, there's two, right? Then we got Prime Minister Sato. Well, who's the fourth? The fourth's the lucky guy, right? And the president of Japan Airlines, right? Was he great? Was he a phenomenal guy? Was he somebody you could always count on? He was a great guy. Loved to be around him. He was a great friend of the family and of the company. And so he's a great guy to do that. But the way to do it is to be a good guy, to be a courteous guy. It's like you go over to somebody's house and for dinner, right? Of course you bring flowers. Of course you bring a bottle of wine, right? I mean, and you're gracious to send a thank you card back and show up on time and be there and be thankful and, bring something. Even though you might play golf with a millionaire or a billionaire, he likes a box of Titleist just like everybody else. It's a thought, right? Yeah. Because I got a gazillion Titleist, but I'll give it to my kid. Great. I mean, you gave him the box of Titleist, right? Does he probably have a full bar of bourbon or wine at home? Yeah, but he'd like another one, right? So, or you call back and you got him some tickets to the Laker game, or you got him, tickets to the U.S. Open, or whatever it is. Be thoughtful. Do some reciprocating there. It's a big deal when you get a chance to spend time with somebody like that.
Yeah, respect.
It's respect. Yeah, it's respect. And when you have an opportunity to spend all day with somebody and create a relationship and a friendship like that, and then have the ability to ask specific questions that only that particular individual may know that are really pertinent to you, like, is it 2 or 4? Which one is it? And he goes, it's always 4. Well, that's pretty valuable information. You want to know that. Yeah. And those guys know because they probably paid a bill to find that out. And you can't beat that. So I guess the big thing is just being completely respectful and being thoughtful and being completely appreciative of the invitation, because there's so many things in life that we forget about and that are really phenomenal privileges.
And that what you've learned in all these opportunities, you've taught a lot of them to me, and I'm very grateful for that. But you've talked about doing a course sometime or writing books. Are those in the works yet? Or are you putting those off for now? Or
no, I'm writing. It's in the works. I haven't quite got all the way there. The presentation piece is coming out pretty quick, so we're gonna lay that out here pretty quick. To a few firms that have hired me, I'd love you to help us out. Could you take care of it for me? I said, sure. We come in and we take care of firms, and what I really like to do, if I can take care of a company, let's say I have a company that has 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 high-level guys, and train them in a system, which I have. I have a system that I have put together. It's the way I've always done it. And so I teach them how to do it. That way they all know what to do. So their communication from top to down is really good. It's just not the CEO that does it. It's everybody that does it. So they can work as a team, which is really important. So, when a client gets handed off, between, let's say, from me to you, it's the same feeling. It's the same thing. It's the same method. You're predictable. It makes comfort happen with you as a company. So it's like, because what a person hires you for? They hire you because of certainty. And in that certainty, they want to make sure that they have comfort, right? I mean, let's just use an example. Let's say you're going to go in and you're going to get you're going to get a new chin, right? Okay, or something like that. Something really big, serious. I mean, or open heart surgery, something like that, right? You want to make sure that the guy who's going to do it for you is absolutely the best in the world, right? Now if the guys are raging, jerk, not good.
It's not going to happen.
That's not real fun, right? That's not something you really like or want. I mean, you want to be able to like the people that you're working with, and in a business situation, you don't need to make an excuse. And the higher you go up the food chain, the more that is you can find that certainty for sure. If they don't like you, they don't want to be with you, they won't do it. Find somebody else. And Absolutely. They will find it. And paying the money is not the issue. They just want what they want. Right? So let's say I'm really expensive. It's like, I don't care, just get Richard in here and have him do it. Yep. Because they want me.
Yeah, we're running low on time here. Oh. So I want to wrap around and say, what's something that I didn't ask you that I should have?
Well, you might want to ask, what most people can do to help them, that give them something really good to lead with, that they could put into action right away, right? And in their presentations, we all present, I don't care who you are. I don't care if the UPS delivery guy or you're the guy delivering, a presentation for $100 million offering, right? It does not matter. And one of the things I think that's most important, that people really give some thought to your audience and think about your goal in a very simple and clear-cut way, so that it's very focused. All your presentations are focused very much on your audience, so that your audience feels like he knows me, he understands me, he knows what I'm looking for, what my needs and problems are, and that the solution is tailored to focus on that. And I think that will provide everyone that's on the call a great deal of success. And that's what I wish for everybody, that they have great success in their efforts.
And you're very gracious in that way. And thank you for being gracious enough to spend some time with me tonight to talk about our expert exchange here.
Yeah, fun.
We're going to wrap this up. And if anybody would like to contact Richard, there will be contact information through the posting. And he's available for consulting. And he has very high standards. So if you're ready to change your game and reach for the top, Richard's one of the people that you really need to be working with, because he can help you get there. And everybody's got little pebbles underneath the skateboard wheels, and Richard's an expert at getting those out of the way. And I stole that phrase from him.
Good.
But, we'll be joining us, hopefully you'll be joining us next week for another expert exchange. And we'll be talking again soon, Richard.
All right, but hey, man, thanks for having me. All right.
Okay, thank you.
Take care. Be good. Bye-bye.